තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒုတိယံ පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි පානාති පාතා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි අදින්නාදාන වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි කාමේසු මිච්ඡාචාරා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි මුසාවාදා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි සුරාමේරය මජ්ජපමා දට්ඨානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි ඉතිපිසෝ භගවා අරහං සම්මා සම්බුද්ධෝ විජ්ජාචරණ සම්පන්නෝ සුගතෝ ලෝකවිදු අනුත්තරෝ පුරිස ධම්මසාරථි සත්තා දේව මනුස්සානං බුද්ධෝ භගවාති සුවාක්ඛාතෝ භගවතා ධම්මෝ සම්දිට්ඨිකෝ අකාලිකෝ ඒහි පස්සිකෝ ඕපනයිකෝ පච්චත්තං වේදිතබ්බෝ විඤ්ඤුහිති සුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ උජුපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ ඥායපටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ සාමීචි පටිපන්නෝ භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ යදිදං චත්තාරි පුරිස යුගානි අට්ඨ පුරිස පුග්ගලා ඒස භගවතෝ සාවක සංඝෝ ආහුනේයෝ පාහුනේයෝ දක්ඛිනේයෝ අංජලි කරණීයෝ අනුත් So let us keep the lights on. So please invite yourself to your body to prepare for some time of meditation. Taking a deep breath in and releasing it. Continue breathing in and breathing out, being fully aware of the movements of the in-breath and the out-breath. With this breathing technique, we will start to tranquilize our being, our body and the mind. You slowly and with full awareness, you breathe in and breathe out. Breath goes through your nostrils and you are feeling it. Come to know the feelings. Involved with the in-breath and the out-breath. Keeping your back straight and the shoulders at ease, the neck resting properly, not leaning forward too much or backward. You are breathing in and breathing out. This will help you to concentrate your mind rather quickly as you stay with the in-breath and the out-breath. When you get distracted, please release your attention from the distraction and return to your in-breath and out-breath. As you focus on the experience of the in-breath and out-breath, the remaining parts of the body will slowly vanish. That you don't have any touch or sense about their existence. Let it happen, and there's no need to have any fear about it. You still stay with the in-breath and out-breath as they happen. anything that comes up in your mind and trying to distract you away from this stillness? So you make this in-breath and out-breath a delightful experience. Let freedom arise and you just become an observer into the experience. You don't get involved with what comes and goes. You are present, but you are guided with the in-breath and the out-breath. Your planning mind and doing mind comes and give you some tips about the day. That's okay. That's the nature of the mind. So you non-judgmentally be present. Naturally, this mind will start to settle, and more beauty will arise from the experience. It's not you arousing or anything, you are just waiting until they happen. You stay with the in-breath and the out-breath. You are just being, not doing. any place or part of your body start aching, you may slowly let things move, adjust, and get back to your focus, the in-breath and the out-breath. An easy way to tranquilize and find samadhi. Although you don't make any effort to breathe in and breathe out, the intention and the experience somewhat synchronize during this meditation. It's just you know that it is about to happen and it is happening. You know the beginning, you know the middle and the end. You know the full experience, how it affects this body and the movements. With almost every breath you take, you are very, very, very focused. you stay like this, you find the true nature, the luminous mind, Prabhaswara mind. Mind just like a light. Adding beauty to your being. Cleansing the energies, giving you a break and space to identify what is happening within. More grounded, more positive break. We go in and in and in until there is no further to go. There we settle and stay, and many openings happen, one within the other, just like those Russian dolls. When you open one, there is one inside. In this case, you let things open naturally. The most important ingredient you have there is mindfulness, the key. Mindfulness helps you to stay focused so you don't get too distracted from the object and the objective. The object is the breathing meditation. Objective is to find freedom. Finding this perfect stillness has its own rewards. Much better than anything you might experience in your external connections and experiences. Internally you stay calm, peaceful, and it lasts for some time when you really tap into it. Then you easily grasp things and understand things, and your bodily movements become serene and not rushed. You start to feel comfortable inside and out. You stay with the beginner's mind, just open, not knowing too much, not letting your knowledge interfere with the experience, not even finding an experiencer within. It's just this breath, a little aid to continue the journey. What is happening next is the unknown. No words to describe those experiences. they're quite good. The brain circuits start to learn these experiences as they happen. Your psychological well-being, the physical, and your cognitive behavior, physical movements, everything start to change. Change for better. No medicine, no drugs, nothing can bring you to this place but the natural steps of meditation. Everything starts to make sense in this experience. Your mind opens like a lotus flower, petals inside the petals, delightful, fragranceful and colorful, soft. And they don't rush to open, they open naturally. Stay there for a few moments, then we will end this meditation. And we'll read the Discourse on Loving Kindness. I don't have the booklet with me, but please read. Do you remember it?
Do you want one?
Maybe it will help. Maybe you remember more than me because you have been coming to these sessions. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as the mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and the downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So for today's meditation, I decided to read some excerpts from Buddha's Brain. Who has read this? Dawn has, and you have. This is from Rick Hanson and Richard Mendius. He's a medical doctor, and the other one is PhD, forwarded by Daniel J. Siegel and prefaced by Jack Cornfield, PhD. He's a famous Vipassana teacher. And I like the foreword, but Pujita brought the book, so we can read directly from the book, not from the small print I have here. Buddha's Brain is an invitation to use the focus of your mind to harness the power of attention to enhance your life and your relationships with others. Synthesizing ancient insights from contemplative practice in the Buddhist traditions with modern discoveries from the field of neuroscience, Drs. Rick Hanson and Richard Mendius have assembled a thought-provoking and practical guide that walks you step by step through awakening your mind. Great. A revolution in science has recently revealed that the adult brain remains open to change throughout the lifespan. Though many brain scientists have in the past stated that the mind is just the activity of the brain, we now can look at the connection between these two dimensions of our lives from a different perspective. When we consider the mind as an embodied and relational process that regulates the flow of energy and information, we come to realize that we can actually use the mind to change the brain, the opposite of brain changing the mind. The simple truth is that how we focus our attention, how we intentionally direct the flow of energy and information through our neural circuits can directly alter the brain's activity and its structure. So the brain has structure and inside it has activities, but the mind has the power. Like the Buddha says, mind is the forerunner. Mind changes. The Buddha didn't speak of the brain, but it didn't matter because the Buddha found what to speak about the mind, the most important element. The key is to know the steps forward using our awareness in ways that promote well-being. There are ways you can use your awareness that does not promote well-being. So it's best when we cultivate wholesome attitudes and wholesome qualities that promote our well-being. Knowing that the mind is relational and that the brain is the social organ of the body. So mind is relational, the brain is the social organ in the body. We also come to another new point of view. Our relationships with one another are not a casual part of our lives. They are fundamental to how our minds function and are an essential aspect of brain health. Our social connections with one another shape our neural connections that form the structure of the brain. This means that the way we communicate alters the very circuitry of our brain. Did you get it? Especially in ways that help keep our lives in balance. Science further verifies that when we cultivate compassion and mindful awareness in our lives, when we let go of judgments and attend fully to the present, we are harnessing the social circuits of the brain to enable us to transform even our relationship with our own self. Okay, so then that's the next step is about the authors and the acknowledgements, and we'll go to the first chapter, chapter 1. The self-transforming brain. So we'll read few passages from this and stop there. So think about some lines that speak to you as I read these passages. When your mind changes, your brain changes too. In the saying from the work of the psychologist Donald Hebb, one of my favorites, when neurons fire together, they wire together. Mental activity actually creates new neural structures. He said that in 1949, long time ago. As a result, even fleeting thoughts and feelings can leave lasting marks on your brain. Much like a spring shower can leave little trails on a hillside. A spring shower can leave little trails on a hillside. Very nice metaphor. For example, taxi drivers in London, whose job requires remembering lots of twisty streets, develop a larger hippocampus, in parentheses, a key brain region for making visual spatial memories, parentheses closed, since that part of the brain gets an extra workout. As you become a happier person, the left frontal region of your brain becomes more active. So this has something to do with the happier you. So not the unhappy you. What flows through your mind sculpts your brain. Right? It sculpts your brain. Thus, you can use your mind to change your brain for the better, which will benefit your whole being and every other person whose life you touch. Like the Buddha did. He changes every life that he touches with his teachings, compassion, and so on. So, then has a list of basic facts of your brain, has some numbers. Let me see if I can read those. Your brain is 3 pounds of tofu-like tissue containing 1.1 trillion cells. including 100 billion neurons. On average, each neuron receives about 5,000 connections, wow, called synapses, from other neurons. At its receiving synapses, a neuron gets signals, usually as a burst of chemicals called neurotransmitters, from other neurons. Signals tell a neuron either to fire or not. Whether it fires depends mainly on the combination of signals it receives each moment. In turn, when a neuron fires, it sends signals to other neurons through its transmitting synapses, telling them to fire or not. A typical neuron fires 5 to 50 times a second. In the time it takes you to read the bullet points in this box, literally quadrillions of signals will travel inside your head. So I thought this is about a fear-provoking moment, but it doesn't have to be. Even during the reading, you don't know, but this neurons firing happens. I thought for neurons to fire, someone has to have some fear. But it seems like it's firing even without that experience. Okay. Each neural signal is a bit of information. Your nervous system moves information around like your heart moves blood around. All that information is what we define broadly as the mind, most of which is forever outside your awareness. In our use of the term, the mind, quote unquote, mind includes the signals that regulate the stress response, the knowledge of how to ride a bike, personalities and tendencies, hopes and dreams, and the meanings of the words you are reading here. The brain is the primary mover and shaper of the mind. It's so busy that even though it's only 2% of the body's weight, it uses 20 to 25% of its oxygen and glucose. Like a refrigerator, it's always humming away, performing its functions. Consequently, it uses about the same amount of energy whether you are deep asleep or thinking hard. The number of possible combinations of 100 billion neurons firing or not is approximately 10 to the millionth power, or 1 followed by a million zeros. In principle, this is the number of possible states of your brain. To put this quantity in perspective, the number of atoms in the universe is estimated to be only, quote unquote, only about 10 to the 80th power. Didn't understand any of that. Conscious mental events are based on temporary coalitions of synapses that form and disperse usually within seconds, like eddies in a stream. Neurons can also make lasting circuits, strengthening their connections to each other as a result of mental activity. The brain works as a whole system, thus attributing some function, such as attention or emotion, to just one part of it is usually a simplification. Last two facts. Your brain interacts with other systems in your body, which in turn interact with the world, plus it's shaped by the mind as well. In the largest sense, your mind is made by your brain, body, natural world, and human culture, as well as by the mind itself. We are simplifying things when we refer to the brain as the basis of the mind. The mind and brain interact with each other so profoundly that they are best understood as a single, codependent mind-brain system. So that's page 7, and I stop there. And there is a part about awakening brain, so let me go there. Do you have the time? It'll take about 3 minutes more. Richard and I both believe that something transcendental is involved with the mind, consciousness, and the path of awakening, call it God, Spirit, Buddha nature, the ground, or by no name at all. Whatever it is, by definition, it's beyond the physical universe. Since it cannot be proven one way or another, it is important and consistent with the spirit of science to respect it as a possibility. That said, more and more studies are showing how greatly the mind depends on the brain. For example, as the brain develops in childhood, so does the mind. If the brain is ever damaged, so is the mind. Subtle shifts in brain chemistry will alter mood, concentration, and memory. Using powerful magnets to suppress the emotion processing limbic system changes how people make moral judgments. Even some spiritual experiences correlate with neural activities. Any aspect of the mind that is not transcendental must rely upon the physical processes of the brain. Mental activity, whether conscious or unconscious, maps to neural activity. Much like a picture of a sunset on your computer screen maps to a pattern of magnetic charges on your hard drive. Apart from potential transcendental factors, the brain is the necessary and proximally sufficient condition for the mind. It is only proximally sufficient because the brain is nested in a larger network of biological and cultural causes and conditions, and is affected itself by the mind. An awakening mind means an awakening brain. Throughout history, unsung men and women and great teachers alike have cultivated remarkable mental states by generating remarkable brain states. For instance, when experienced Tibetan practitioners go deep into meditation, they produce uncommonly powerful and pervasive gamma brainwaves of electrical activity, in which unusually large regions of neural real estate pulse in synchrony 30 to 80 times a second, integrating and unifying large territories of the mind. So, with a deep bow to the transcendental, we will stay within the frame of Western science and see what modern neuropsychology, informed by contemplative practice, offers in the way of effective method for experiencing greater happiness, love, and wisdom. So, it's a huge book. If you have the time, please do read it. So now I have it. He offered it to me. But when I finish reading, you can borrow it and then read it and bring it back. So you can also use it. So what did you? What spoke to you in these lines, in the words? It's interesting they have written a book like this, but we need to know that this is still unfinished business, right? I mean, people still have to discover more about this, the mind and body, mind and brain connection, right? Neuroscience is very big nowadays. Also is cognitive science and brain sciences. Many sciences are there. Psychology also. But we also know that when the Buddha went to deeper meditative states, he didn't have any words to explain those experiences. He used just some ordinary common words and he put them into a set of frame to inspire people to go there and experience those. But now I think people are naming and labeling things more and more. So we have more words. Probably that's one way to put it. Yeah.
Do you think that's helpful in getting more awake, mindful, seeing things as they are?
To have
more words and more meditation, or do you think it encumbers us more in the significance of the language and stuff?
I think at some point you have to put away the words and labels and language. That is for sure. Because the knowing mind, the knower that I know, kind of becomes an obstacle in those states of the mind. Like an experienced Dhamma teacher, even at death, could be giving just a Dhamma talk. That is his attachment. And even in his meditation, he may be giving a Dhamma talk to himself. The words are acting there. When the Buddha said that you have to put the raft down and not carry it, it's only for the purpose of crossing over. You just leave everything that you know of behind at some point and then let the work happen, right? But one thing this labeling and naming and words does is that it inspires people. That's very helpful. If we don't have books like this, people here will not really be inspired about even any Tibetan or any contemplative practices. It's a great thing. They have big conferences. I went to San Diego for Mind and Life conference. Spiritual teachers from different traditions, scientists, authors of these books, they were there. And His Holiness Dalai Lama's translator, Thupten Chinpa, I forgot his name. He came. I have a picture. We took a picture, and I happened to be there too. So that's very much field that attracts, like it has a magnetic energy. People really love that kind of sciences, so they fly to those places to be inspired more. Very powerful. So that's one thing these words do. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting and hopeful, and I think when I read the book,
Yeah.
I noticed that it's hopeful that just as we can exercise the body,
Yeah.
the muscles and that, and change our physical self, we can practice things in our mind and actually change the brain.
Great.
It just amazes me. And they talk about we have these habitual thought patterns that create these ruts, and we can start to work at it, and those pathways disappear and they change.
Pathways to superior? No.
No, the firing pathways in the brain, the habitual,
that
and
thing.
negative, you can actually do practices and change those pathways so that you start to be more skillful in thinking and behavior.
I will add, I think people have to do it before it is too late, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people stay in the negativity too long until they find lost and never ever inspired again to even try something to change. Something that I don't know how to help that man who had a childhood experience about someone putting a pillow on his face. I think I mentioned that in one of the sessions, and he cannot sleep now at night, with or without lights. So he's forever stuck and he's looking for an answer. And even to close his eyes to meditate is a scary thing for him. So I wouldn't say that he's too late, but he is. Someone need to be I don't know. We need to somehow. There should be an answer to it, right? Anyway, just something to add to your discussion. Trauma, yeah. People have it. It's invisible. It's big. It's not physically present always, but it's haunting people. What thoughts do you have?
Well, I was quite intrigued to learn how these type of meditative practice and things actually happen in biologically, we affect the brain and the how people have analyzed that,
Yeah.
actually measuring the brain waves and that type of thing, and it actually describes how you can improve your brain physically by doing this type of
Practices.
activity. But I also agree with you that there should be a limit that we don't chase after these at some point and to make prove ourselves. Okay, now I'm better in solving these puzzles because kind of getting some kind of quantitative measure.
Yeah.
But because there's still we don't know how to measure the different jhanas, for example. So
Yeah.
jhanas are kind of different brain states or mental states. So
Yeah.
so we don't know. They just happen.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose when you meditate.
Yeah, I read an article that tried to measure the jhanas in 2011. Hopefully I'll be able to find it and maybe discuss it here. So, but they haven't done really any much of measuring. But it was an attempt to really try to measure it and where to begin. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I was kind of thinking. It's really intriguing. I really love this book to
Yeah.
understand,
Mhm.
and also it and kind of describes about your different nervous systems like the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and why you get these instant feelings about
Yeah.
fear, anger, and all these things, and
Yeah.
how the hormones work, and
Yeah.
so with meditation, how you can improve the parasympathetic, nervous system and things.
Yeah.
It's I found it very intriguing.
Yes. So I think we will continue the readings from the book, right? So the whole group learns it as we go. If you like, if you have other readings, please bring them. So I think people are interested in this, right? So it's great. Yeah.
A guy called Bessel van der Kolk did a
Mhm.
really good, has made some good inroads on unsticking people from trauma, and he does incorporate meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Really.
Yeah, it's a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, I have heard about that book. Yeah, yeah. So thank you. That seems like a good book to send to that person. Yeah,
Mhm.
Body Keep. I think we read parts of it for one of our courses, advanced counseling courses. Anything else? Yeah. Okay, sharing merits. So you have it at the last page of the booklet. We just do this one page and then we will end the session. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. Happy meditation. Happy rest of the week as well.